Hello, everybody. Now that you know what to expect from the multiple choice section of the OSSLT, we're going to do a little bit of practice and put our work into action. So we're going to look for these different types of multiple choice questions directly stated, which means we'll be able to find the answer right in the writing. Background knowledge, which means they're testing our understanding of a concept or maybe some vocabulary. Vocabulary and grammar, and making inferences or making educated guesses. So remember, these are our top strategies. We're going to read the questions before we do the reading. We're going to make notes as we read and try to underline keywords. We're going to read the instructions and the questions carefully because sometimes they have wording like choose the best answer or which is not correct. We're going to try to say the answer in our head or write it on the side because then if we know that we came up with it first, chances are it's right. Sometimes they'll try to trick us, but it's still a good strategy to practice. We're going to cross out the wrong answers. We're going to try out the umbrella technique, and when in doubt, never leave a multiple choice answer blank. So here is our sample OSSLT book. So we're going to read from the questions booklet. Remember though, when you're doing the test, you would put all of your answers in the answer booklet, unless you're doing it online, and then that might look a little bit different. So this is a common type of reading on the test. This is what is called a nonfiction story. So basically it's a true story, but it has the elements of character and development. A lot of times it focuses on jobs that people have. So this is going to be an article about some young musicians called the Brothers Dubé. But let's use one of our strategies and let's just skim through the multiple choice questions. And although you wouldn't necessarily do this on every different kind of test, it's really good strategy for the literacy test because one of the challenges of the literacy test is that it is very long. And a lot of students tend to do better on book one than they do on book two, partly because they're tired and you make mistakes as you get tired and you kind of stop paying attention. So what you want to do is pull out all your good reading strategies, making notes, underlining, paying attention to when your ideas are wandering, figuring out how to get back. You don't want to have that experience where you're in the middle of the test and you read for 10 minutes and you don't remember anything. So reading the questions before will actually help you to kind of pay attention as some of the key ideas come up. And then we can also maybe circle them or make notes so that when we're doing the questions, we have something to go back to and we don't have to reread the whole section multiple times. So it's going to ask us where they're from. It's going to ask us to order events, which event happened first. So they're going to tell us a story and we have to figure out which happened first. It's asking us about paragraphs 3 to 6. So we'll pay attention when that comes. It's going to ask us to define a word, philanthropy. It's going to give us a series of quotes, but they're from all different paragraphs. So we'll go back to that once we've read it. Why haven't they gone on tour yet? What does paragraph 8 emphasize about the boys? What's the function of the dashes in paragraph 5? Why does Liam say we have time on our side? Okay, so those are our questions. So now we have a few ideas of things to look for. We're going to go back and we're going to read, but we're going to try to maybe make some notes or highlight just so that we're kind of paying attention as we go. So I'm going to read this out loud and you can follow along with me. When the Brothers Dubé saw the Beach Boys perform in 2011 in Tennessee, USA, they never imagined that they themselves would be playing on the same stage as this legendary California rock band. But that's exactly what happened on August 18th, 2013. The brothers from our nation's capital, so there's a clue because it asks where they're from. So I'm just going to go and highlight that. Okay, so the brothers from our nation's capital opened the performance for the Beach Boys at Toronto's Canadian National Exhibition band show. It's pretty crazy considering that I'm 12 years old, said drummer Quinn Dubé about the show at the CNE. Pretty amazing indeed when you consider that the band's senior member, Liam, who plays guitar, is just 17. Quinn and Liam, along with their brother Jan, who is 14, and the band's lead singer and bass player, and I might just kind of make a few notes here. So it's telling me some things about the three guys. So I've got Quinn, I've got Liam, and it says he plays guitar, and Quinn is the drummer. And then we've got this brother Jan, who is the singer and the bass player. So I'm just kind of doing this so I can kind of keep track of who's who. Making a bit of a mess. So they started playing instruments when they were kids. Their father, Rob, taught them the fundamentals of music. Since then, Canada's youngest rock band has steadily improved. So I'm going to just kind of underline that. That's kind of interesting. Taking lessons and putting a lot of intense practicing time in. In 2006, they started recording songs. So I'm going to circle that because it seems like it might matter. Mainly to entertain their mother, Michelle, who was not well. So that's interesting. There's a little bit of a detail about how they got started and what motivated them. She really liked the band The Police, Quinn said. He and his brothers recorded the song So Lonely and posted it on the internet through YouTube. YouTube, where so much famous action happens, right? The boys continued to play after their mother died in 2008. That's sad. In fact, they started busking. I might circle that word because I might not know what that is. Maybe I want to look it up, or maybe I want to come back to it to see if I can figure it out. They started busking, performing in public areas to support charities. They raised funds for medical research as well as an eye-popping $150,000 in donations to help orphans in Haiti after the 2010 earthquake there. So that's really interesting. If I had better pen skills, I might write something like, obviously they really care about helping people. That's like their major motivation, right? The Dubé brothers' work even drew attention from the then Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, Canada's Prime Minister at the time, who sent them a letter praising them for their philanthropy. I know the test is going to ask me about that. And from this paragraph, it all kind of connects to philanthropy. Okay, it all has to do with them reaching out and trying to help other people. And that's really what philanthropy is. As they have grown older, the boys have had to address the issue of their deepening voices. I know that was mentioned at some point, which has led to some adjustments in their quest to establish their own particular sound. We're just trimming it down slowly and redefining who we are as time goes on, said Liam. They're certainly on the right track. They've already become stars across Canada and clearly captured the Beach Boys' interest, which led to the CNE invitation. So the Beach Boys are a really famous band, and they obviously heard about this band and invited them to open for them, which is a huge honor, right? Not surprisingly, the brothers Dubé spent the summer of 2013 preparing for their performance, practicing 3 hours each day in the basement of their Ottawa home. So it said nation's capital before, now it confirms for us, and I know that's going to be my first question, so I'm going to circle that's where they're from. And planning for a fun playlist that included a makeshift hockey stick guitar they had built. Lots of practice means they spend significant amounts of time together, and like all brothers, they do argue occasionally. Jan says it can be frustrating sometimes, but points out, we all know we can yell at each other and no one will hold a grudge. And I'm just underlining this because I know there's a question that asks me about different quotations, so I'm going to just kind of underline where I see them making these statements so I know where to go back. He can't imagine playing in a band without his brothers. It's pretty fun. It's like a family journey for us. The brothers have had lots of support from their dad, who helps his sons maintain balance in their lives with their music, their charity efforts, and of course, their homework. The next step after opening for the Beach Boys was the release of a couple of extended play or EP albums. That's a big deal, so I'm just going to highlight it. Which means recordings with more than just a single song, but less than a full album. A tour could also be in the cards, but only when they finish school. So this seems important because I remember they asked a question about a tour. Okay. The brothers Dubé are in no rush. We don't want to become really big really fast. We have time on our side, Liam said. There's another quotation. We're not looking to be famous or to be the next band like Nirvana or the Foo Fighters. We just love playing music. Okay, so now I've done the article and I'm going to go through and I'm going to answer the questions. Where are the brothers from? This is an example of a directly stated question. I can find that answer specifically in the reading. And if I'm reading closely enough, it should be no problem. I don't even need to look at the answers here. So this could be one of those ones where I cover it up. I know they're from Ottawa. It said it twice. So I'm not even going to pay attention to these. But one of my other strategies was to make sure I read through it. So, okay, no, it's not Toronto, not California, not Tennessee. But this is directly stated. I know this answer. Okay. Number 2. Which event happened first? The band released an EP. The band posted a song on YouTube. The band was invited to play at the CNE, or the band raised money for orphans in Haiti. And remember, as I was making notes, I highlighted different events. And if I go back, I remember it said something about YouTube. So let's see, did I make comments on that? So that I don't have to reread the whole thing. There, they released a video on YouTube, and then the Beach Boys got interested and they performed at the CNE, and then they released this EP. So from my notes, I don't have to go back and reread the whole article. I know that the first thing they did was post their song on YouTube. Okay, how is the information in paragraphs 3 to 6 organized? Is it from past to present? Is it from general to specific? Is it as a problem and solution, or as a comparison and contrast? So I might have trouble if I don't know what all these things mean, but let's go and reread paragraphs 3 to 6. This is the one time where I would recommend that you do reread because it's asking you specific things. So it's asking me about these paragraphs specifically. Okay, so here it's talking about what they play and how they're a really young rock band. Then it's talking about in 2006. Then it's talking about 2008. So they start playing for their mom. Then their mom dies in 2008. They start busking. They raise money for people in Haiti. They get attention from Stephen Harper. And then the next paragraph starts, as they've grown older, their voices are changing. But now they're starting to become popular and they've played at the CNE. So I can see by going through those paragraphs, it starts at 2006 when the band starts performing and goes up to their CNE performance in 2013. So it is chronological, okay? So that would be my answer. That's what I'm thinking, but let's make sure, let's read all of them in case they're trying to trick me, because sometimes what a multiple choice question will do is it'll give you multiple right answers. So let's go and do a process of elimination. That's another multiple choice strategy I can use. Is it going from general to specific? So if I go from paragraph 3, is that general? We're talking about the band, the lead singer, the ages, their dad. That's not really general. Here we're talking about the band and the mom. Here we're talking about the mom and them raising money. I don't see like a real pattern in terms of the type of information. So I'm going to say it's not B. As a problem and solution, well, it starts by talking about how they learn to play instruments and they play for their mom and they raise money and they play at the CNE. So if it went as like their mom was really sad and then they played and it made her happy, that might be a problem and solution, but it doesn't really fit this idea of a problem and solution. Comparison contrast. So to compare is to put two like things together, and to contrast is to put two different things together. It's not comparing things, right? It's giving us a list of several different events and presenting it in order of how they occur. So I'm going to go with A for my answer. Number 4, which word is closest in meaning to philanthropy as used in paragraph 5? So a couple of things about this. It does tell us where to find that word. I already circled it because I knew from reading the questions beforehand that that was going to matter. But it does give you these clues, so go back and read it in the context of the paragraph, because even if you don't know this meaning, this is one of those background knowledge questions, but even if you don't know it, you can get it by doing these multiple choice strategies. The other thing to pay attention to, and this is why we always read the question closely, which is closest in meaning. That might mean that there is more than one right answer. So we need to make sure that we choose the best answer. So talent, popularity, generosity, or imagination. Okay, so I'm going to take this sentence and go back and read the context. The Brother Dubé's work even drew attention from Stephen Harper, Canada's Prime Minister at the time, who sent them a letter praising them for their philanthropy. So I'm going to try to get it from the context. So praising them for it. So it's got to be something good, right? It's got to be something positive if it gets praised or celebrated by the Prime Minister. And if I look at the previous things that they're talking about helping out their mother. They're talking about raising funds for medical research. They're talking about raising funds for the Haiti earthquake. So these are all good deeds or charity, right? So let's go back and read over the choices. Talent. Not really. There's nothing there about how talented they are. It's about what they're doing with it. Popularity. No, there's nothing there. This isn't about their YouTube channel. There's nothing about them being popular. Generosity, yeah, that definitely works because they're giving back to other communities. Imagination, possibly. This is what we call a distractor, right? Because this is when it does kind of work because they're doing all these different things. But this is why we're reading this word closest. Imagination might work. Generosity is better. And how I'm going to decide which answer to choose is I'm going to go back. I'm amazing you right now with my amazing drawing skills, right? I'm going to go back to that umbrella technique. Okay, so if you're stuck between two answers, choose the one that is the umbrella, the one that could include both. Because if you talk about their generosity, how they're giving back, you could also fit imagination under there because they're doing all these concerts for all these different causes and that proves their imagination. If you talk about imagination, it doesn't really provide an umbrella for generosity. So that's how we know the answer is C. Okay, now it's going to give us a series of quotes. Which quote best captures, so there's another clue that they might be trying to confuse us or distract us with more than one right answer. Which best captures the unique aspect of the band's success? So what makes them stand out? So let's read. It's pretty crazy considering that I'm 12 years old. So does that stand out? Yeah, because they're pretty young, right, to be successful. We're just trimming it down slowly and redefining who we are as time goes on. I don't know if that's unique. It's kind of talking about like work ethic, right? I'm gonna say no. That doesn't make them stand out to me. We don't want to become really big really fast. Yeah, that works because lots of musicians do, right? And we just love playing music. That's not really a unique aspect of their success. I think most people who are musicians love music, right? So best captures the unique aspect of their success. So I have to figure out the best answer. What's unique is they don't want to become big really fast, so their success is kind of slow, and they're taking it step by step. But then we've also got this phrasing here. It's pretty crazy considering I'm 12 years old. So they're both unique, but which best captures it is really saying which is more unique. And really, it's the fact that they're young. And we have a couple of other clues emphasizing that that's the main point of the article, right? We've got quotations here. Canada's youngest rock band. Doesn't say Canada's band that wants to wait to be successful. They keep emphasizing how young they are. So that's another one of those. This is really an inference question where we are making an educated guess. We don't know for certain. There's more than one possible answer, but we're picking the best answer. We're making the strongest inference, something we could find evidence for. Doesn't talk that much about this in other places in the article, so we don't know too much about whether that makes them unique. It does talk about how young they are multiple times, so that's why that is an inference question. Okay, and number 6. Why hadn't the brothers Dubé gone on tour yet? Their voices were changing. It does say that, but that's not why they went on tour. They had to finish school first. That's possible, because it does talk about that. They had been busy recording. It does say that they recorded, but it doesn't say that that held them back, or they were involved in their charity work. Again, it does say they were doing that, but it doesn't say that they were held back. So by process of elimination, I'm going to go with they had to finish school first. Number 7. What does paragraph 8 emphasize about the boys? So I'm going to go back to paragraph 8. Lots of practice means that they had significant amounts of time together. Points out that they don't hold a grudge. It's a family journey. They have a lot of support from their dad. He helps them maintain their balance, charity, homework, music. So really all of this is all about their family bond, right? So that's what I'm going to guess the answer is. I haven't read the choices yet, but that's what I'm going to answer first. So is it about their passion for music? Not really. Is it about their ambition to be famous? No, we've already said that they don't have that, right? Their ongoing sibling tension? No, this is what we would call a distractor because they have that comment about how they do fight sometimes, but really what the whole paragraph is about how they all stick together. So that's an example where answering in my head helped me to answer that easier and faster. What's the function of the dashes in paragraph 5? So a dash is this little sign, but if I go back to paragraph 5, I'm going to look at what they are. So I've got this dash here, and I've got this dash here. So the boys continued to play after their mother died in 2008. In fact, they started busking, performing in public areas to support charities. If I look at those dashes, what it's doing is it's explaining the word busking. So the dashes are there to help define the word busking. So I'm answering that question before I see the choices. Is it to add emphasis? No. To set off a definition? Yes. To indicate a shift in topic? No, it's about the same topic. To indicate an interrupted thought? No. So 8B. Last question. Why did Liam say we have time on our side in paragraph 10? So let's just reread it so we can see the context. The brothers Dubé are in no rush. We don't want to become really big really fast. We have time on our side. We're not looking to be famous. We just love playing music. So again, this is kind of an inference question because it's asking us to interpret what somebody said and what they meant by it. But if I'm going with my whole collection of ideas of some of the previous questions, there's some clues there, right, about what's being emphasized there. Really what we keep coming back to in this article is how young they are. So why does Liam say we have time on our side? The brothers practice daily to improve their skills, maybe. The brothers balance school, charity work, and music, maybe. The brothers have played music since they were young. Yes, that's true. The brothers have many years in which to build a career. So although all of these are true, I can't answer this question with process of elimination. When I go back and read it in the context of the paragraph, he is saying that quotation when they're talking about not becoming famous really fast. They're not in a rush. We have time on our side. So going back to the answer, they have many years in which to build a career. And that is really kind of rephrasing what he says. So that's how I got my answers for this multiple choice question. So again, go through, make notes, because it'll mean that even though you're taking a little bit more time to read, you're actually doing better reading, you're doing active reading, so that when you go to answer these questions, you're not going to be distracted and going through and picking the right answer. It's going to be much easier. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Take care.